Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. In today's video, I'm going to look at this, the Nike Air Zoom Alphafly Next percent, and I'm going to try and see what percentage difference they make to my running. Do they make me faster, and if so, by much? And if there's a gain, or maybe a loss, is it worth it compared to the cost of the shoe? I posted a video about the shoe about 2 weeks ago, and the comments were really interesting. Probably the most critical of the comments I've got about a particular shoe. A lot about, are they worth the money? It's a huge amount of money, €300 here, etc. Would a Saucony Endorphin Pro 2 not be better value? They might make Eliud Kipchoge faster. What will they do for you? Actually, that wasn't a comment, that was me thinking. What will they do for an old duffer like me? I mean, there seems to be a view that you can't get any benefit out of a super fast shoe if you're not particularly fast. So I thought I'd make this video and see if that's true. I hope it's not. Well, anyway, we'll crack on. We need some data to look at the shoe. I can't analyze it by just running feel alone. I'm not really good enough to know exactly what pace I'm running at and what shoe. So we're going to look at some data, and for my data, I typically use the Stride foot pod, which I love. I love the Stride foot pod. I could analyze the stuff all day, but for the purpose of this, it's an inexact science. There's not enough, there's only me and not enough machines. There's a lot of, all things being equal, etc., which of course they're not. So it's broad brushstrokes only here, folks. So now that we're all caveated up, let's crack on. I read this article in CNN on the 18th of May by Thomas Meehan, probably formerly of this parish, and it was entitled, "If you can't beat him, join him, how Nike cornered the running shoe market." And in it, they had a quote from a Jeff Burns, sports scientist at the University of Michigan. And he said that the shoes were soft and bouncy, which they are. It won't come as a surprise to many of you. And that they added 10 to 15 millimeters or 1 to 1.5 centimeters of leg length. Now, I'll try and add the imperial stuff here, but if you get stuck, 25.4 millimeters is 1 inch. That's the basic one. We'll go on from that. But that's what he said. So I'm not sure if he's talking to like 15 millimeters per leg or 15 millimeters for both legs. But either way, I know that to run faster, I need to increase my stride length. And if I'm going to increase it by 15 or 30 millimeter, that's going to be pretty good. Time for some maths. I'm going to analyze the Stride foot pod data from my last marathon. Now, when I look at that, I can see that my average stride length was 0.97 meters. Not very long if you ask me, but there you go. Or 3.18 feet. 0.97 meters is 97 centimeters or 970 millimeters. But when you add the 15 millimeters in stride length and add that adds, for me, a 1.54% increase in stride length, or 3% if it referred to both legs. So that's our first percentage point. Some data quoted in CNN that'll say that I can get a 1.54% increase in my stride length. So what does that actually translate into? A marathon is 42,195 meters long, and my Stride foot pod indicates that the last marathon I ran in 43,500 strides. Exactly, not 42,990. Anyway, that means that if I had run an extra 15 millimeters per stride, I would have run an extra 652.5 meters in the same amount of time, just over half a kilometer, nearly half a mile in some respects. So when I did all the data, I would have saved myself about 3.5 minutes time in the marathon if what CNN are correct in terms of adding 15 millimeters to my stride. So far, hope you're all staying with me. Okay, so let's crack on. If CNN are saying that there's 15 millimeters extra per stride, well, compared to what? When I'm teaching students, I'm always telling them that primary research beats secondary research. So I went out to decide to do some on my own. So I decided to take my slowest shoe and compare it to what might be the fastest shoe. So I took my Easy Day shoe, which I really like. This is a Hoka One Clifton 7. There's 150K into them, so they're not worn out, even though the Clifton 7 has just been replaced by Clifton 8. But it's my easy, comfort, everyday shoe that I really enjoy running in. But I know from the tests I've done on the radar gun that this is my slowest shoe. That does not mean it's my least good shoe. It's designed to go slowly. It's designed to keep me safe and comfortable on slow days. But it makes a great control shoe to go up against the Alphafly to see the difference in pace between the two shoes. Okay, so test one, the run and gun. Near me, as I may have said in other videos, there is a speed control radar with a big panel on it that displays your speed as you drive by. The idea being to get drivers to slow down. And I discovered I could set it off as I run along. And so I run along, it's about 2 kilometers from the house, which is great. I'll have warmed up. And then every time I get a new pair of shoes, I kind of see how fast I can go. So I decided to do all my various shoes, which I've been doing for, I know, several months. And so in this Clifton 7, I can get on the speed gun 19 kilometers per hour. Now, when you translate that back into stride, because every time, although I'm interested as I run along, I can see the speed go up and then max out, and that makes me interested. But of course, the machine is probably calibrated to try and get drivers to slow down, so it might be overinflating my speed. So I went back, each time I do the run, I go back into stride data and see what peak velocity I got to. So again, in the Clifton 7, I got to 19 kilometers per hour, but stride tells me it's 17.91 kilometers per hour, which is probably the one you'd trust, even though it's nice to think you're going faster. Okay, so the Alphafly, well, how fast did I go in this orange beauty? Well, actually, I went, the radar gun said 26 kilometers per hour. I was whooping, and my stride said 23.68. So it's faster, okay? And it's faster by about 30%, but only in the top speed I can get out of them for a nanosecond. I'm not Eliud Kipchoge. I can't keep going for 2 hours in that. I can do that for a nanosecond. That's too short a time to come up with any meaningful conclusions. So I got to have a few more tests. So test 2, I decided to try and take them to somewhere long and straight and to run side by side and compare the data. Now, I had several goes at this because things kept going wrong. But anyway, ultimately, we got some data at this, and this is just visual data. So I went up to the Phoenix Park and took a long straight run, divided with a white line, and they're different color tarmac because one's actually a cycle lane. I went at the crack of dawn, so I wasn't disturbing anybody. And so along I went, wearing this, I wore a red shirt, this one, and wearing this, I wore a blue shirt. So it was easy to tell because this is visual stuff. I set up 3 GoPros, one at the start, one at the finish, and one at the side. And in the side view, you can see the other GoPro that I run by. And then I ran as fast as I could. The idea being to get up to maximum speed and just to keep at that and see what the peak was. So rather than just an instant for the radar gun, this is more sustained. And in the Clifton 7, I got to 20.93 kilometers per hour, and the Alphafly 24.32. So 16% faster in the Alphafly or thereabouts. But what you can see is the distance gets longer, it trends down, which I guess is what you'd expect. Now, one distinct feature of the of this thing is the noise it makes. It's unreal. I went up actually the first day to set up. I ended up going on 2 separate days. First day I went up to set up, and I'm setting up and I'm doing all this. And next thing I heard this clomping sound. Clomp, 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 clomp. I thought, God, what's that? I see this guy come along in a pair of these. So I thought, well, it's not just me. And I haven't been able to figure out what's making the sound. I think I'm running too slow. That's why the sound is. He was making the same sound. He wasn't going all that quick. And I don't really know. I'll maybe do another test. I think it's just some sort of echoing that's going on in the complicated bass, but it really does make a funny sound. So in this one, you'll see me go back to back, just taking off, just wearing 2 different shoes. I'm not actually running in them. And then I think you see me head on, and it's a visual data, so I set it all up visually. So I'm not 100% certain it's exactly accurate, but it'll give you an idea. And then it's from the side, and then you'll also see one where I go down from the rear, and that's in 1 shoe at a time only. The other is split screen stuff. And the idea of that is you can hear the squelchiness in all its glory. Okay, so when I came back and I looked at the data, I realized, God, I need to go a longer run. And ideally, I'd like to run in all my shoes on a longer distance, but you get tired. But I decided to do a kilometre of my local park, so a lap of the park. And I'll show you some of the data from the Stride footpod. But first of all, I decided to go out in this on an easy run for a kilometre and just analyse the data doing an easy run at 5 minutes 27 per kilometre worked out at. Okay, so I just want to do that that's kind of the speed I would run in a Clifton 7 for a kilometre. And then I went out, and I was using it to warm up as well. And then I went out really hard. So I went as hard as I can go in this, and I got to 4 minutes 6 seconds a kilometre, considerably faster. And it's a shoe I really like running in, so I really enjoyed it. It was going faster. And in between these ones, I took a little bit of a break, and then I went out in this as hard as I could go. And it was 3 minutes and 51 seconds. So that compared to two. So the difference in speed over a kilometre of this and this is about 6.5%, which is reasonably significant. But you can see it's trending down the further distance. So you kind of think, well, if I ran a marathon, would it trend towards zero? Who knows? That's as we used to put on our drawings when we were in architecture school, to later detail. The data I got actually from that was really rich, and there's lots of stuff I can compare the stride length and the cadence. Now, to increase speed, you either increase your cadence steps per unit of time, or else you increase your stride length. I think that I do a little bit of both. And interestingly, ASICS have their Metaspeed Sky and Metaspeed Edge, which I'm going to do a video of next after this video in about a week's time. But they have designed the two different shoes for two different types of runner. So that's what they're saying is their fastest shoe. And so I'll probably delve into more of the cadence and stride data when I get to that stage. So what conclusions can we come up with? Well, the first off is the Alphafly is a faster shoe than the Clifton 7, but we probably all knew that. Okay. And over a kilometre, it's about 6.5% quicker. Question that kept coming up is what use is an Alphafly to an old duffer like me who was never elite or even non-elite? I didn't even get to non-elite status, just average, and now I'm 58. So an old guy who's not going to run particularly fast, what use does it do? Well, look, I got 6.5% quicker over a kilometre on it. Okay, so I run faster in it. So there's a couple of other questions to go yet. So if this is €300 and the Clifton 8, which replaced the Clifton 7, is €140, would you pay €160? Well, the first thing is I didn't. I got these for €240 because I signed up for the Nike email stuff and I got €60 off. And then I thought, well, that's so I got these shoes. In theory, I got them cheaper than these shoes, except I got money off these by signing up to ASICS, who sent me an introductory offer. I can't remember, I think it was 20%. I'll confirm next week. And then because ASICS really wanted to wish me a happy birthday, they sent me a birthday code, so I got the next pair, which I'm going to review next week, and they were 20% off. So list price on these shoes is not always what you need to pay for, and so having a good eye out is good. But the question for me is it worth paying? So if this was €240 versus 140, would I pay $100 to go a bit faster? Well, of course I did, and yeah, I'd happily do it. I mean, yeah, I'd happily pay a little bit to go a bit faster. I mean, I could run in my Husqvarna chainsaw boots, but why would I bother? Yeah, if I can run a little bit faster in shoes that other people run in, yeah, I'll happily do it. Now, before you all stampede down to Nike Town and buy every Alphafly in the joint, I'm not comparing like with like. Okay, I've 9 pairs of carbon plate shoes, and really, I need to compare like with like. They're the ones I need to compare with. I know it's 6.5% faster than my Easy Day shoe. That's not important, and I think that in lots of the marketing is where the extra 15 mil, all this kind of stuff. And I have a couple of dark horses in the stable that I think will give the Nike a good run for its money. Just one of them is the New Balance Fuel Cell Elite, or C version 1. This, I ran the same lap at the park and I was 1 second slower in this shoe, which on a 3 minute 50 or something is nothing. It's statistically not significant enough to know which is faster. And I know in this shoe, in the wet, this is the only shoe I'm going to run a marathon in the wet. This is super traction, which they seem to have gone away from in their new version 2 of this. So I'm going to have to take real good care of this particular pair of shoes. Because if it's wet and I'm running a marathon, I'm going to those, nothing else. But in a dry conditions, which I'm guessing one would hope to be running a marathon in, the question is, which is the fastest shoe? Is this an Alphafly? Or maybe it's a Betafly, or maybe it's an Omega Fly. It's not an Omega Fly. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it'd be great if you hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you pop into the comments. There'll be a blue subscribe button there, and some related videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.